In this short video, I will quickly discuss column wrapping. First, did you ever wonder why Bootstrap settled on the number 12 as the magic number of columns for a given row? Well, obviously that's because 12 provides the greatest possible number of combinations that are divisible into 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 are all divisible into 12, giving you lots of options for either equal width columns or cells rather, or, we can also do a 7 and a 5, for example. But at any rate, as you know, we create individual cells by creating div tags and applying special Bootstrap classes. And those classes include numbers that indicate the widths when added up should equal 12 for a given row. So what happens whenever the grid class columns add up to more than 12? Well, then in that case, cells will simply wrap to the next line within a given row. So to illustrate this very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and select the project name in the Solution Explorer and add a new item. Want to make sure to create a new HTML page, and we'll name it column wrapping.html. And here I'll go to my template.txt. I'll copy everything out of that and paste it into my new column wrapping.html file. And here what I'll merely do is go to my row where I currently have 3 cells. I'm going to add a 4th cell, and I'll make that cell 1 column in width, and I'll change the word third to 4th of 3 cells, and we'll run the application, and you can see that we get the effect of having a little overlap. So now notice that we still have the fixed container, and that it still obeys the fixed container. It still obeys the row height, so it doesn't butt the 4th of 3 cells up against the 1st of 3 cells, but it honors the height of the 3rd of 3 cells. However, and notice that we'll also, everything else we would come to expect for a given row will stack vertically until we get to that medium size in this particular case. But making it even larger will not make this 4th of 3 cells come up to the previous line. It just won't happen. Now, what we can do, just to kind of illustrate this, is to create another row, and just to see where the previous row stops and the new one starts. This one, we will set it back to the right number, 3 cells for 12. And notice that instead of picking up right after the 4th of 3 cells, the new row will move down immediately below it and begin its row. Okay. Furthermore, what if, for example, we create another row below this that has too few columns? So we have only 2 cells. One is going to take up only a 1/3 of the space, and the other will only take up 1/6 of the space, meaning we have plenty of room left over. How will this affect the row with too many columns? Well, let's run the application and see. And you can see it doesn't affect it at all. Again, it honors the notion of a row. It just leaves that empty space, that whole half of a row empty. And so that's a technique that we're going to actually pick up on in one of the next videos when we talk about offsets. But at any rate, I think I've drained as much as I can out of this topic. If you ever need this, you certainly can use it. I can't imagine a scenario where column wrapping is useful. Generally, I like to keep everything lined up horizontally, but perhaps knowing about this behavior, maybe at the very least you can spot a mistake in your Bootstrap usage, and perhaps even find a use for this little technique at some point in the future. Okay, so that wraps up column wrapping.